What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the LNBE podcast, where LNBE stands for literally nothing but everything. And if you want to find me on my socials, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the LNBE pod. You can also find the audio versions of this podcast if you just go on YouTube and search in the LNBE podcast. And if you want to write in, feel free to do so. You can find me on my email at lnbemedia@gmail.com. All right, people. And with that, let's kind of get into this bitch. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be screaming into your ear. Let me lower the mic a little bit, see if that helps things. Alright, hopefully that's a little bit better. You know, I'm kind of thinking I should change this podcast name to Literally Nothing But Nobody Who Babbles. Because I feel like that's all I really do here. But let me tell you, nothing's going to change this week. Honestly, fair warning. This episode, not going to be my strongest, let me tell you. I mean, I know in the past I've said I don't know what I'm going to talk about this week. This week, I legitimately don't know what I'm going to talk about. I actually had nothing written down, so this is just going to be a fucking freeform 20 minutes. So, buckle up and strap in. I mean, obviously, there's a few things that I saw this week that I'm going to talk about, but this is just going to be one of those weeks. I don't think all of these are going to be winners, but you know what? I also don't think all of these have to be winners. Like, I'm doing my best to just put out content. Like, I'm doing what I can. You guys also don't realize I don't do shit. I'm just slaving away at my 9 to 5. And you know, I think my 9 to 5 is really kind of getting in the way of my hobbies. Anyone else feel that way? Trying to fit in, working out, making food, doing your house chores, all meanwhile just slaving away at your corporate job. But I gotta say, I'm actually kind of insane. Because what I do is I try to squeeze in all my house chores and shit during the week. So then my weekends are just completely free. So if I gotta work at the bar or I got something going on, then it's just one less thing I gotta worry about. Trying to get done over the weekend with the little free time that I feel like I actually have here. And it's funny because I actually messaged a friend like a while ago. I was like, you know, I think ironing is just slowly becoming the death of me. And she goes, oh, Greenwich problems. And I'm like, pfft. Greenwich problems would more be like, oh, you know, the nanny didn't iron my shirt the right way and now it doesn't fit right. But I gotta be honest, man, this weather fucking sucks. But also, with that, I feel like just given the weather around, at least in my area, I don't know what it's like in your area, but because of the weather, I really haven't wanted to do anything outside anyways. And if you hear a humming in the background, that's just because I got my air conditioner on. I had to do it. I had to finally cave and just put on my air conditioner while I do this thing because I'm going to be sweating like crazy if I don't. Because the humidity here has made it hotter than Satan's asshole the morning after a drunken feast at Taco Bell. Oh, but calories don't count when you're drunk. That's the rule. But alright, now that we got the small talk of the weather out of the way. Speaking of drunk, over the weekend, again, found myself at the bar. And while I was working, there was some chick, I don't know if it was like a 21st birthday or something, but she comes in with what I would assume would be her parents, her sister, and her boyfriend. And the whole time, I don't know if they were already like drinking prior, but the whole time, the boyfriend and the chick were just on top of each other the whole night. And I'm just like, that's gotta be so awkward. Like, I could never have my girlfriend just be on top of me right in front of my parents the whole time. And it wasn't like they were just hugging. Like, they were like engulfed in each other. But alright, I feel like there's a time and place for PDA. Like, if you're trying to take a cutesy photo, maybe there's a sunset in the background, you're trying to snapshot that perfect kiss moment or like whatever the fuck. But I don't think being sexually on top of each other in front of your parents is a good use of PDA. I don't know. That's just me. Not something I would do in front of my parents, but who knows what their dynamic is. Maybe the parents are cool with it. I don't know. Not something I grew up doing. And honestly, that's more out of respect for the parents, I think. Because, like, no way in Fucksville would I be slapping my girl's ass or be rubbing up all over her right in front of her dad. Like, I'm already trying to get in her dad's good graces, considering this dude probably already sees me as the enemy, and I gotta do anything and everything within my power to try and make it at least appear like I'm a good guy. So, I don't know if that would be the way that I would approach the situation. Like, did you guys just see that Hailey, Eminem's daughter, just got married? Like, could you imagine groping Hailey right in front of Eminem? Like, fuck no. I would never do that. First of all, that dude literally destroyed a guy's confidence to the point where he had to switch genres. And I honestly still think that that's MGK's fault to begin with, because MGK was the one who started it, and Eminem is just like, all right, well, I'm just here to finish it. So when it came to kill shot, I don't know if Eminem was just interpreting kill shot as being like, I'm gonna kill shot this and just like have this like little feud end. But call it coincidence. But after that track came out, MGK all of a sudden went the pop punk route. So I don't know. I think it also kill shotted his career in the rap industry. And yes, I understand that this is all old news that nobody gives a fuck about. And I will get to the most current news, because we probably should address the elephant in the room here, which is, can somebody please explain to me how Amon-Ra St. Brown played a full NFL season with a torn oblique? Isn't that what you guys want to talk about? This is a big story, right? And if you don't follow football, but there's a football player, if you don't know NFL football, his name is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's a wide receiver for the Lions. And I guess in like week 3, from what I saw, he suffered a torn oblique that was completely off of his bone. And I'm just like, dude, that takes a certain mentality to play through, because he only missed one game and then continued to play the rest of the season. Not only did he play the rest of the season, he actually hit his target goal of hitting 1,500 yards. I think he actually hit a little bit over, which is absolutely insane. I gotta say, the mindset of an NFL football player, a rugby player, a hockey player, and a boxer. Actually, you could probably put MMA fighter in there too. Just the fact that you have to fight through and play through injuries that are just that fucking painful. I mean, being a boxer, right? You break your nose in round 2, and then you gotta go another, 10 rounds? Are they 10 rounds or are they 12 rounds now? I can't keep up with the rule changes. Somebody write in and let me know if they're 10 or 12 rounds. I could easily Google it, but I'm being lazy right now. But you break your nose in round 2, and then you gotta go another friggin' 36 minutes of getting punched in the face? Like, I don't know about you, anytime I get punched in the nose, I automatically tear up. So the fact that you're then gonna go another 36 minutes with a broken nose is just wild. Like, that mentality of being able to block out pain, I don't know if it's you're getting shot up with shit. I know in the NFL you do. But even as an MMA fighter, like, you're dealing with that cauliflower ear, which is absolutely wild. Ugh. Broken noses, broken fingers, whatever the fuck, and you're taking those hits. Like, any sort of physical sport like that, and being able to just mentally block out the pain is just absolutely nuts. I don't know, maybe this might make for a good new segment, but what's an injury that you had to fight through before actually getting it fixed by a doctor or something? Like, did you ever break your leg while hiking and then you had to, like, hike the rest of the way back to your car or something? I don't know. I mean, my biggest thing with pain is, I don't know, I could sit through a 4 to 6 hour tattoo session. And that's not even remotely being close to being able to play a full NFL season with a torn oblique. Jeez almighty. I also once sprained both of my ankles within the span of a year. Like, I sprained my ankle once, and then 6 months later I sprained the other one. So right when one healed, the other one sprained. But I don't know. It also wasn't like I sprained my ankle playing football or something. I had to get back onto the field. Like, I don't know. I've never had to deal with something like that. But it also kind of puts it in perspective, right? I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there's an argument that's been going around for at least the past like 4 or 5 months now. I don't know. It might be earlier than that or less time than that. But I actually initially first heard it on the New Heights podcast with Travis and Jason Kelsey. But essentially, the argument is NBA players would better be able to transfer to the NFL, whereas NFL players would not be able to transfer as well to the NBA. But I don't know, man. I feel like NFL players would be able to better transfer to the NBA. Because, like, I look at a guy like Myles Garrett, who clearly knows how to play basketball. I look at him, and I'm just like, the toughness level alone would probably surpass any NBA player. Because I don't know if LeBron James would be able to take that type of a hit. I mean, that dude got fucking poked in the eye. He was down on the floor for 10 minutes. But I don't know. I feel like if you took height out of the equation, because what's the average NBA player? Like 6'6", 6'10"? Like within that range, that's probably the average height. Whereas I want to say the average NFL player is probably around like 6'2" to 6'5", probably the average height. So, I mean, there's clearly a height disadvantage there between the NFL and NBA players. But I think given the skill level, because you both need to jump, you both need to be able to run. Now, the only problem would be the conditioning, I think. Because NFL players are more based on a sprint mentality, whereas I think NBA players are a little bit more conditioned where they can run a little bit longer for longer stretches of time. So I don't know. I'm also saying all of this shit as somebody who's never played an organized sport in his life. So what am I able to say here? But I will say, I think if you put NFL players up in the NBA, I think you'd get more of a 90s style play. I think it would be way more physical. I don't think you would have all these ticky-tack fouls. I think you'd see like some legit fights like back in the 90s when defense was defense. I don't know. Here's an argument. What do you think about this? I think that a 90s MJ would probably fare better in today's game than a modern day LeBron playing in the 90s. Now, LeBron is a physical specimen, so that alone would probably give him the advantage. But I don't think he would be used to the fighting aspect and the competitiveness of what the league used to be. So I don't know, maybe there's something there. I don't know. Again, I'm also somebody who does not watch the NBA for shit, and I don't give a fuck about it. But I don't know, maybe there's an argument to be made there. This really is the Literally Nothing But Everything podcast. Jesus, I am literally talking about nothing here. But what did you expect? I mentioned it at the beginning of this pod. Like, I do nothing. Like, there are going to be some slow weeks. And hopefully this whole thing isn't like the worst thing you've ever heard. I know it's not the best, but hopefully you guys are still sticking in with me. Oh, but there was something that I forgot to mention about when I was working at the bar over the weekend. And because I know how much you guys like bar stories, let me continue on with that for a little bit. It just never ceases to amaze me how stupid some of these kids are. So here's a little story for you. So there's this one kid who has tried to come into the bar multiple times while I'm bouncing. And he keeps showing me the same fake ID. And it's like, dude, you know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice expecting a different result. So how insane are you? Like, dude, are you actually this stupid? Or are you trying extra hard? Because all it's doing is getting on my fucking nerves here, pal. But the worst part is he's actually a really nice kid, but he's just an idiot. I'm like, dude, at least be smart enough to get a different ID. For however the hell much it is, it's probably a little bit more worth it to try and get by me that way and hang out with your friends than me embarrass you in front of your friends and be like, dude, get the fuck out. Like, dude, as nice as you are, the fact I know you as that underage kid is unfortunate for you. But this time he actually tried to be slick and just blow by me, but it was dead, so good luck doing that. So I actually call out his first name. That's how many times this kid has shown up. I actually know him by his first name. So I yell out his name. I'm like, you, get the fuck out of here. What do you think you're trying to do? Because now I'm actually annoyed because this time he just tried to sneak by me and I'm like, that's an absolute no-go. Like, honestly, who the fuck do you think you are? He's like, man, I didn't think you would see me. I'm just trying to hang out with my friends. And then his buddies come up to me and they're just like, oh man, you just can't let it slide just one time. I'm like, no. Like, you guys might give a fuck, but I have no affiliation, so I don't give a fuck. So in my eyes, this is the literal definition of not my problem. But, I mean, speaking of problems, we all could have had one very major problem as the news of the week. And I feel like, I mean, come on, we got to talk about it. I mean, you're going to sit there and tell me that you don't think we're going to talk about the assassination attempt that happened on Trump? I mean, we got to address it. But very first, I want to address the hero, and I'm going to be a really bad Italian, but I can't pronounce your last name. So Corey C. for saving his family's life. Because if you didn't hear, during the assassination attempt, like the hero that he was, he actually shielded his family from the gunfire, but he ended up taking one of the strays. So hearts out to Corey C. and hearts out to Corey C.'s family because it's incredibly tragic. I'm so sorry. And honestly, it really shouldn't have even happened to begin with. Which honestly is part of the most fucked up part of it all. But you know what's even crazier is, now my opinion, I don't necessarily think that this is a gun law issue because when JFK was assassinated in 1963? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that was a complaint. But let's be real here. If the guy really wanted to do it, which apparently he did, he would have done anything and everything to acquire a weapon anyways. Now, granted, he did get it from his father, because from my understanding, his father had a gun cabinet, so maybe gun laws made it a little bit easier for him to access a weapon. But I don't think that having anti-gun laws would have totally constricted him to not having a weapon. Like, I feel like he probably would have acquired it through legal or illegal means, given whichever opportunity he had to choose from. But okay, here's what I have acquired to know based on what I've been able to read and watch and try and figure out. But from my understanding, the kid, and I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if there's going to try and be a copycat or whatever, and I don't need some other idiot trying to go after Biden. But apparently, this stupid kid, he was only 20 years old. He was on his school's shooting team, from what I saw, but he was cut, which is fitting because apparently he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And he took, what, 8 shots? With his aim, he probably took 8 shots before he got up onto that roof. But even if he was successful, like, what was he hoping that he would get out of it is my biggest question. But honestly, if this is one thing that it's proven, it's the fact that the media has just turned up the temperature so much on our politics that now this is what people are resorting to because they just hate politicians to this level. Or now people think that they have to take it upon themselves to get rid of a political figure that they don't like. Who was the last president to have an assassination attempt? I think it was Reagan, right? And that was like back in 1981, so that was 43 years ago. Which is crazy because I think that assassination attempt helped Reagan win his second election. And now I feel like this assassination attempt on Trump is going to help him win his. But in retrospect, why was this even able to happen to begin with? Like, did you guys see the footage of someone taking a video of the guy climbing up onto that ceiling? And it's like the Secret Service didn't think to be on that post. Now, I actually read that this was outside of the security perimeter, so the spot was unaccounted for. But the fact that he was, for the most up-to-date measurement that I saw, was 148 yards out, and the snipers didn't even see this guy setting up? Like, who hired the Secret Service guys? Are they just really good Call of Duty players? Like, is that the standard? He was shot 3 seconds after opening fire, but like, why was he able to open up fire to begin with? Like, nobody sees this guy setting up with an AR-15 and they don't automatically think, hey, maybe we should shoot this guy. But apparently that's a problem with our Secret Service. They tend to be late to shoot. Remember the Chinese balloon circa 2024? But from what I heard, once the gunshots started happening, he was pretty easy to spot. From my understanding, he was only able to get 3 shots off. The other 5, because I think there were 8 total, came off from some of the Secret Service agents. So by his 3rd shot, he was gone. But I'll tell you what, one of the weirdest things that I noticed in the whole clip is the fact that nobody in those front rows at the Trump rally even ducked. I don't know if everybody thought it was fireworks or something, but like nobody ducked. Like, where's the common sense of the people in the audience? I mean, you hear an explosion, at first you think, oh, firework, but you don't see anything. And then you hear more pops consecutively like that. Nobody's like first thought is, hey, hit the fucking deck. Even the Secret Service agents, it took them a little bit of time to try and figure out what was going on too. Like the fact that they didn't immediately jump on Trump until like the 3rd or the 4th shot was taken off. Hell, even after that first hit, you see him go for his ear, fucking jump on him. But given how hot things have become on our political system, like what was this guy honest to God thinking? Like what was he hoping would come out of this? If anything, if he really wanted Biden to win the election, he did Biden a total disservice because the way that Trump came out after it was unfucking real. I gotta say, I think Trump just ran away with this election now because talk about a guy who just showed his toughness, gets shot in the ear, and I know he had some help with the Secret Service agents, but the dude just kind of popped right back up. And yeah, that could have also been adrenaline. But I swear to God, if that were Biden, we'd still be trying to sweep his ass up off the floor. I mean, for a guy who's pushing 80, you gotta admit, Trump actually moves pretty well for somebody who's that old. And people saying that Trump planted this, there's no fucking way Trump would set himself up to take a shot that close to the dome. But I also want to come out and say that there's absolutely nothing funny about this. You really can't make any light of it. Like, it's one of the most egregious and ugly things that somebody could do. And it's also one of the most un-American things that somebody could do. But, with that said, I just want to say, the absolute balls that Trump has. Being able to take a shot in the ear, going down, then popping up and being like, fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! That is like top 10 most American things I've seen in quite a while. Because I was trying to lip read what he was saying, and I kept seeing fuck yeah, but apparently he was screaming fight, fight. They actually released some of the audio that was going on when the Secret Service was on top of him. And the first thing that he did was he was just like, let me get my shoes. Because I guess when the Secret Service agents ended up literally tackling him out of his shoes. But he gets up, he goes, let me get my shoes. And then while they're about to walk over to the door, he's just like, hang on a minute. And he's just like, do it for the gram. And he takes one of the most patriotic photos I think I've ever seen. Like, that is top tier. The cherry on top honestly would have been if an eagle had screeched going along the background as he's raising up his fist, just being like, fuck yeah! But also the fact that you just got shot at and you want to poke your head out one more time. Like, bro, you're just as crazy as the kid at the bar. But I gotta say, it takes some fucking balls. On that note, that's all I have this week, so I'll let you guys go. Like I said, probably not one of the better pods, but hey, they're not all gonna be winners. But for the most part, if you guys like the LMBE podcast, feel free to share it with a friend, write up a review, give me a 5-star rating. Please like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at the LMBE pod. You can also reach out to me via email if you want to write in at lmbemedia@gmail.com. And as a backup, feel free to check out YouTube for all of the audio versions of the LMBE podcast. And with that, I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you for listening, and I will catch up with you next Tuesday. But alright, guys.